Hey everyone, Carlos here from A Difficult Truth. So, welcome to our weekly podcast where we discuss the week's events and I'll give you my opinions on them. Okay, so let's get this show started. The government shutdown finally ended after 35 days of Donald Trump's temper tantrum. It only cost us $6 billion and God knows how much more in the economy sense. I mean, we were literally about to have zero GDP growth thanks to this guy. But finally, Trump caved and agreed to the deal originally set forth, anyways, to temporarily open the government until February 15th so that they can discuss the whole border funding. But it took him 35 days to reach that, and nonetheless, it's finally over. Hopefully, when it comes to February 15th, he's just gonna go with it and not throw another temper tantrum. He did threaten that if he does not get his funding for the wall, that he's either going to shut the government down again or that he's going to use emergency powers, either of which are extremely unfavorable for him, because if he does the emergency powers, he's going to definitely respark talk of impeachment, as that is a huge overstep of executive power. There is absolutely no crisis and there's no national emergency at the border. As we know, the rate of immigration is actually net outflow, not people coming in. Immigrants are much less likely to commit crimes than actual native citizens, so I don't see the crisis. Drugs are coming in through ports of entry, not through the southern border. And I mean, where's the crisis? So if he declares a national emergency over that, I believe that Congress will have to step in. If he shuts the government down again, then he's going to put 800,000 people through the same hell that he did for the last 35 days. And those people are definitely not going to vote for him. So he's going to be committing political suicide along with any Republicans that want to keep following him. Which is, hey, look, if that's what he wants to do, that's fine by me, because he's not going to get reelected. Not like that. Which brings me to my next topic. Bernie Sanders is set to announce that he's going to run for 2020. I don't know if he's going to officially do this or not, but if he does, I really hope that, again, the same thing that happened in 2016, I hope that we don't have a repeat of that, because we cannot afford a second Trump presidency. We just simply can't. Hillary Clinton also was thinking about running, and let's be honest, if we have another civil war within the Democratic Party and we lose because of this, we're going to have a second Trump presidency, and that's going to further sink this country into the ground. So no matter what candidate you're supporting, if by any chance that they do not win, that doesn't mean that you defect the Democratic Party, and that doesn't mean you basically give Trump a second presidency, because that's what happened in 2016. Trump should not have won that election. But because there was an infighting between the Bernie Bros and the Hillary camp, it caused that fissure within the Democratic Party, and basically not enough people turned out to vote. And that's how Donald Trump won the presidency. Donald Trump could win with even lower numbers than he has right now. Think about it. So the man is still very much a threat, and we as the Democratic Party cannot be fighting over nuances. We all want the same thing, and we can achieve it step by step. There's no way to just kind of push your agenda and have everything done in the same day. That's just not how this works. You have to kind of inch by inch fight for what you want. You can't just say, okay, we're going to overhaul the entire, healthcare system right now. No. You plant the seed of universal healthcare. You try it like New York City is doing, see how it works on a city, see how many people like it, which I'm sure right now it has over 70% approval. So see how the people like it, and then, politicians are going to want to stick to power, so naturally they're going to vote with something that they're going to vote for something that gets some votes, and that's how you get it. The same thing with education. You start trying to push legislation that erases student debt, like we had before the Trump era, and then slowly increase funding for public education, especially colleges and community colleges. And basically, soon we won't. It'll give people a reason not to go. It will give people a reason to go to get a higher education learning. I mean, if it's free or highly subsidized, I mean, there's no reason not to. But anyways, I digress. The point is, whoever wins the Democratic nomination, we must throw our full weight behind and our full support, and then pressure them to, slowly implement what they said and try to do good for the country. But if Donald Trump wins again, then we are screwed. So we cannot let that happen again. So moving on to our next topic. Roger Stone, a longtime friend and associate of Donald Trump, was arrested in Fort Lauderdale, which, fun fact, actually, I live maybe, I would say, less than 10 minutes away from where this happened. And had I known that this was going to happen, I would have loved to see that happen. Roger Stone is a conspiracy theorist, has made like numerous ridiculous claims in the past, inspired the whole birther thing to Donald Trump. He's said a lot of nonsense. He was arrested for making false statements and witness tampering, which is a huge no-no. He's actually open to cooperating with the Mueller team, which is very good, because I want to hear what this guy says. He's also being going to be questioned about his connection to WikiLeaks and how that had to do with the whole 2016 campaign, which we all know that basically WikiLeaks was being used as a Russian vessel to kind of mess with our elections, and Roger Stone had something to do with it. Now, Sarah Sanders went on TV and denied the whole thing, saying, "Oh, this doesn't have anything to do with us. This has nothing to do with anybody in this White House," which is absolute, lies. It's absolute lies. Roger Stone has known Donald Trump for decades and has been involved in his campaign, has been a Republican agent for quite some time. So I don't know how this doesn't have anything to do with him. He has a direct tie to the president. So, I mean, obviously Sarah Sanders is lying, and she can't really. There's nothing to say other than try to lie and deflect, and hope the minions buy it. But anyone who's lives in reality knows that this guy is a longtime associate of Trump and is definitely directly connected to him. In fact, the only person higher up in the pedestal would be Don Jr. and then Donald Trump himself. So we'll see what this entails. I'm sure Robert Mueller is going to have a lot of questions for him, and does this mean maybe that the investigation is finally coming to an end? Because if he is indicting Roger Stone, Don Jr. might be next, and then of course Donald Trump. Hopefully Mueller can finish off this investigation, because I am just dying to see what he found. I mean, if you guys saw his press conference, it was absolute gold. I mean, he was being booed. He was being heckled by the crowd. It was great. It happened actually at the Broward Govrnment downtown buildings down there. I literally live 10 minutes away. I really wish I could have seen that. But I'll definitely be following up on this whole Roger Stone thing. Michael Cohen was actually supposed to testify in front of Congress before he reports to prison. And then he kind of bailed out on that after reportedly being threatened by Trump and Rudy Giuliani. I don't know to what extent he's being threatened with, but the Senate actually subpoenaed him, the Senate Intelligence Committee. He's supposed to go there mid-February to testify. I hope that it's with open doors, because usually they do that in private behind closed doors. So I don't know if we'll get to see that, but I'll definitely be looking out for it. I really want to hear what Michael Cohen has to say, and it really sucks that he didn't get to testify in front of the House. I mean, the House might actually subpoena him. The Democrats expect Elijah Cummings to subpoena him, so we might get to hear from Cohen. We might not. I'll definitely be paying attention to that, and we'll see where this whole testimony goes. Okay, so for our last topic for today, it's not really directly related to American politics, but it kind of indirectly is. So we're going to talk about Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro has won his second term, and these elections were not free. They were not open elections. The EU even gave Maduro an ultimatum to have free and open elections, which of course he is not going to do. Multiple members of the international community, including the United States, have already acknowledged Juan Guaido as a legitimate interim president, which he declared to be. The Venezuelan Supreme Court denies this, of course. They're on the Maduro side, and the military is currently still with the Maduro camp. So unless the military decides to switch, I think Maduro is going to still hold on to power. But I mean, my foreign policy, or how I believe foreign policy should be, is that we should just not intervene unless absolutely necessary. I'd rather keep to ourselves, make sure that that we are good, make sure that we're keeping our citizens happy, fed, and with healthcare, and have upgraded infrastructure, have our defense basically impenetrable. I'm all for keeping this nice fortress safe. Now, if we can help another country, we should. And I'm not saying to directly intervene in Venezuela, but I think that we should continue disavowing Maduro. I think we should continue maybe putting pressure with sanctions. Maybe kind of the fact that we're acknowledging Guaido as the legitimate interim president may give a spark for the opposition to continue rioting, to continue to try to take power back, because the people in Venezuela are suffering. Maduro is a authoritarian tyrant who really needs to go. Venezuela was one of the richest country in South America, and it was basically just as big as OPEC in terms of oil, and Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro have single-handedly destroyed this nation. So its people deserve better. There's people dying of hunger, there's not enough food, there's not enough medical supplies, and any opposition is being terrorized, killed, or imprisoned, and that's just not right. Maduro needs to go. So I fully support the fact that we're acknowledging, and multiple countries are acknowledging Juan Guaido as the legitimate interim president, and hopefully pressures Venezuela to have free and open elections like they deserve. Either that or they overthrow Maduro. That's going to be a little more difficult, but if the military chooses to switch sides, it can potentially be done. Anyways, guys, unfortunately, that is all the time I have today. If you like what you see, why don't you hit that big red subscribe button and ring the little bell so that you get notifications when our next podcast goes live. And you can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/adifficulttruthofficial. You can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/adifficulttruth. And if you're on the go, you can listen to this podcast on SoundCloud. That's soundcloud.com/adifficulttruth. I'll leave all the links in the description below, and I'll see you guys next week. See ya!